Hi guys! Today we're here to learn how to use your sewing machine as an absolute beginner. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Acadia and I am the owner of 111 Threads, which is a thrift flipping and upcycled fashion shop. Yeah. But if you're not new here, then welcome back and let's get straight into the video. So like I said before, this video is for an absolute beginner learning how to use their sewing machine. So I'm going to be demonstrating on a heavy duty Singer, which I got at Joann & Fabrics about 2 years ago. It's a pretty good beginner machine. I am just super comfortable with it, so I've kept it around. I have gotten it serviced twice, probably once a year. So if you keep up on your maintenance, it'll last long and it will be well. So in this video, I'm going to go over your entire machine as a whole, the settings, how to set it up, how to thread your machine, going over the bobbin and how all of that works, the materials you're going to need, and also how to do a basic clean on it so that you can get the most out of your sewing machine's life. So I am filming this before the video, so there might be more parts that I throw in there, but I am going to do a timestamp section in the description below. So if you're not an absolute beginner or if you're looking for a specific section of using your machine, just go through there and find what you're looking for and hop right to it. So without further ado, this is my heavy duty Singer sewing machine. Like I said, I had it for 2 years, so it's a little rough around the edges, a bit dirty, but it's fine, it does its job. And just a quick note, I will be linking in the description below all of the materials, including my machine, that I use in this video, so that you guys can go and purchase them yourselves if you don't already have them. So I'm just going to quickly take this apart and act as if I just got it straight out of the box. Now I pulled out some pieces that should have come with your machine. These are sort of the essential ones. You'll have other pieces, but they're kind of not really important right now. The other thing is I don't remember if needles came with it or not, but we'll go over what I use. Now, to start off, of course, you're going to have your machine, and then you're going to have your presser foot. The presser foot comes with these two inputs. This one goes into your machine, and this one obviously into the outlet. So you're just going to place your presser foot on the floor, and then grab this and plug it in. Once everything's plugged in, you'll see the light will turn on. Now I'm just going to go over a few of these essential supplies. So this is a walking foot, and it's going to be what holds down your fabric and pushes it through the machine. Next, we have the dreaded bobbin and then the bobbin casing. After that, of course, you're going to have your needles. So I just use a universal type, but the needle depends on what kind of fabric you're sewing. So if you're sewing jeans, you're gonna wanna get a denim needle or a heavy duty needle. So when you go to Walmart or go to order your needles, you'll see all the types. Just pick one that best suits you and your projects. For now, as a beginner, a universal will do just fine. Next, we have this right here, which holds in the thread. So it's like a thread cap. And then speaking of thread, this is the kind that you can get at Walmart. So I typically just go for the all-purpose, and then I usually buy the most amount of thread just because it's more for your money. However, while you can get this at Walmart, I do recommend just purchasing some, like a way bigger spool on Amazon. Usually I typically go for 100% polyester or cotton. Like I said, I will link in the description below a direct link to all of these products that I'm using so that you can also purchase them on Amazon if you'd like to. But moving on, these are two pieces that will also come with your machine. This is the tool that helps you open the screws in your machine and get to the center. And then this is just a cleaning tool. So we will be going over some basic maintenancing, and I will show you how to open up your machine and just clean out all of the fuzz. Now that you're familiar with all the pieces, we will start the machine setup. So first, we're going to set up the needle and the walking foot. We're going to head over to the back section here, and you're going to pull this lever up and click in your walking foot. As you see, it grabbed onto the metal bar and it is now in. It is normal for it to wobble. Next, we're going to insert our needle. So as you can see, there is a flat section here and a rounded side. You want the rounded side facing you. You're going to then turn this knob towards you and unscrew it a good amount. Once it's unscrewed enough, you're going to see that the needle pops straight in. If it's not going all the way in and the top of your needle isn't touching this little dot right here, then it's not unscrewed enough. So it is crucial to make sure that your needle is going all the way to the top, or you risk breaking your needle. So once it's in, you're just going to screw this all the way tight, and you see that the needle stays. Once your needle's in, it is now time to assemble your bobbin. So to do so, we're going to have to partially thread the machine first. So next you're going to select your thread, and typically the top sticker holds down the thread. So you're just going to peel that up and pull the thread out. As you see here, the thread is now loose. Now on your thread, there is going to be this center hole. You can either pop this stick straight through it or remove the sticker. So I just made an opening in the hole, and I'm now going to slide it in. Once the thread's in, you're just going to give it its little top hat to secure it in. Then you're going to take your tail, bring it around here, and start following the directions on the machine. So first, I'm going to take my thread and slide it under this hook, then bring it around this one. And since we're threading the bobbin now, we are going to thread it around this. So you're just going to loop it around and bring it over. Then you'll grab your bobbin, and as you can see, there is a hole at the top. You are then going to insert your thread through that top hole and pull a little slack. Once your thread is in the hole, you're going to pop it over this section here and pull it to the right so that it clicks. Now you are ready to thread your bobbin, so you're just going to hold on to this tail and start to gently push on your presser foot. As you push down, it's going to start threading your bobbin. After I thread it a little, I typically stop and snip this tail to get rid of it. Then proceed winding your bobbin. When your bobbin is full, you're going to click back to the left and pop it out. Then you are going to snip the thread connecting to the bobbin and the thread spool. Once you spun your bobbin, you're going to unwind this, because that's only for when you're doing your bobbin, and then you're going to continue to fully thread the machine. So again, it went under this first bar, around the second hook, and then it's going to go down into this well, around number 4, and up again. Then to thread number 5, I usually go to the side and bring my needle to the utmost position. You can see as I turn the knob, this 5th hook is going to come up. Now that your hook is in position, you're going to bring the thread around it and come back down again. We are now at the 6th and final step, which is getting it behind this hook, and now you're ready to thread your needle. So of course, you're just going to take your thread, insert it in the needle hole, and just pull out so that you get some slack. Once you're threaded, it's time to insert the bobbin. Now I'm going to try to explain this as clearly as possible, since the bobbin is what gives most people the hardest time. So essentially, you are just going to pop in your bobbin into this section, and then you're going to have your bobbin tail. This is the crucial step that most people miss, so pay close attention. Now I'm going to grab the bobbin tail, and as you can see slowly, I'm hooking it to the left. Do you see how it just went under this piece of metal? So again, you can see clearly that my thread is under this hook. See how it's going around? Getting your thread under that hook is extremely important because it keeps the bobbin from lifting up. As you can see, if it's not under that loop, my bobbin can lift and move. So once again, I'm going to make sure that my thread is under that hook. Now that your bobbin is inserted correctly, you're just going to head over to the side of the machine again, begin to manually rotate your needle down, and you're going to see that your top thread is going to now bring the bobbin through. So now if you look closely, you see I'm tugging on the top thread and it's looped around that bottom. So now typically what most people will do is they will take their scissors and just swipe underneath to bring the bobbin thread out. So now you can clearly see that I have 2 threads coming out of that center. Once you're properly threaded with thread coming through your needle as well as through this middle section, you are ready to insert the bobbin case, which just clicks right in. At this point, your machine will be properly threaded and ready to sew. However, I am now going to go over what all of these settings do. So of course on your machine, you might have different settings, especially with the stitches. So as a beginner, no matter what machine you have, you're really only going to use the straight stitch and the zigzag. Then moving up, you have your length. So this determines how elongated your stitch might be. So as you can see here on the top, I had a length of 4. So you could see that the individual stitches are more spaced out versus when I did length 1, where you could see they're very close together and hard to tell where that individual stitch is. And here's also an example with zigzag. So here I'm doing a length of 1 and then I switch it to a length of 4. I typically set my length somewhere in the middle, so around 2 to 3. So next you can see we're at the setting for the width, and this really only matters for zigzag. So it shows you a perfect example here, but I will also show you on my scrap fabric. So here you could see on the zigzag stitch, I had a width of 1, so there's really not much of a zigzag. It's very small, opposed to a width of 6, where you could see very prominently the zigzag stitch. And then of course, depending on your project, you can pick the width. I usually aim for somewhere in the middle, around 4. Moving on, you have your needle position. So as you rotate these, you're also going to see the position of your needle moving automatically. I usually keep mine mostly to the right. And now we have tension. So typically the rule of thumb for this is the thicker your fabric is, the lower you're gonna want your tension to be, but it definitely is really touchy and sensitive. So I would just play around with it. Usually I keep mine around 3 to 4 and for thicker for 4 to 5. But it does go all the way up to 9. So I definitely keep mine in the middle around here. So now that you know how to thread your machine, set it up properly, and how to use the settings, you're essentially ready to sew. Just a quick pointer, before you begin sewing, make sure that the bobbin spool is all the way to the left. Another quick troubleshoot of your machine that you might run into is your thread gathering. So I'm going to try to force my machine to kind of mess up and gather. I don't recommend it. I'm just showing you for learning purposes. Okay, so I just did it. As you can see, I'm pressing down on my presser foot. You can hear the hesitation in the machine and my needle is not going anywhere. If this happens, it's because of typically one of 2 reasons. When this happens, it's just a total mess on the bottom. So reason number 1, as you can see, my thread has fallen out of step 6, so being in this hook. If your thread is gathering, if your machine is no longer moving the needle, it's mostly because your thread has just popped out of this. So just relax, reset your thread, and you're good to go. And then the second reason that the gathering might happen is because your bobbin is not under that piece that we talked about in the beginning. So really, if you're having this issue of your thread gathering or your needle not going down, take apart your threading and start over. Redo the bobbin, redo the top thread, and your problem should be solved. And then other common issues that you might run into is things like not having the correct needle for your machine, not changing out your needle. You have to change them out, they get dull, so things like that might catch up your machine and make it act weird. So definitely have the right needle. If you don't know what needle you use, I'd recommend just going to Joann Fabrics and asking someone for help, telling them the machine that you have, and they'll almost always help you. So make sure you have the right machine. Make sure you have the right thread for your machine. Make sure you have the right needle for your machine. And then another common troubleshoot is not having a new or high quality enough thread. So for example, I like to thrift, and sometimes I'll buy thrifted threads. These do not work for me if they are not the right texture. So if they're not polyester or they're not cotton, it might not work for your machine. So this thread kind of has like a thicker, more coarse and almost sticky kind of texture versus my polyester, which has like sort of a softer texture. So starting out, I totally just recommend that you go and buy a really high quality thread and not buy anything secondhand. Once you start to develop your skills and knowledge on sewing, you can definitely move into buying thread secondhand and things like that, as well as needles. So yeah, pretty much basic overview of the troubleshoots is make sure that it's threaded correctly. that your needle is the correct needle for your machine, that the needle is installed all the way up like we talked about in the beginning, and that your thread is the right quality that you need for your machine. So usually 100% cotton or polyester, or like a poly cotton, I think it's called. So don't thrift your thread. Don't go for anything fancy. Don't buy a quilting thread. Just buy an all-purpose sewing machine thread and you'll be fine. Now, if you're still having issues after going through all of those troubleshoots, like rethreading your machine, buying new thread, getting a new needle, then you might need to maintenance your machine. This could be anywhere from just opening up the bottom of your machine and cleaning it out with one of these, or you might have to take it to a local sew and back and get them to look at it. But before you panic, let's open the machine and clean it out, because I know I have to do that as well, so this is going to be a good example. So if you're going to maintenance your machine, you're definitely going to want to unthread it and take the needle out. So we're just going to go ahead and disassemble what's going on here, drop the presser foot, take out the bobbin, and then you're going to pull out this handy dandy tool. This tool makes it easy to unscrew these, and this is really the only tool that you're going to be able to use to do this. So as you can see, I have these screws out, and for safety precautions, I just want to say, definitely make sure that your machine is off while you're doing this. I'm just doing it with the machine on so that I have the light, so it's easier for you guys to see. Once you have the screws out, place them somewhere safe because you don't want to lose it, and then you can start to lift up, and then you can lift out this panel. And now you see the bare bones of your sewing machine. So I actually cleaned this out about 2 weeks ago, and you can see how dirty it already is. So it's really important that you do not forget to maintenance your machine and clean it out. There's obviously a lot of like threads and random dust in here. You do not want your machine to catch on fire or stop working in 6 months because you don't clean it. So basically, as you can see, I'm just going through here with this little brush that comes with your machine and just kind of collecting out this dust. So I'm going to go ahead and just wipe all this out, and I advise you to do the same at least once a month. Now, they do sell little vacuums for you to go in and get all these crazy spots and get it extra clean, but assuming that you're a beginner, you're probably not that invested yet, and you probably don't need to go as far as a vacuum. Alright, so it's looking significantly better now, and this is all of the fuzz that was in here that I could get out, probably since just like a week or two ago. So definitely keep up on this. If you have a lot of buildup, your machine will stop working and it's going to give you issues. Alright, so now that you know everything about your machine, from setting it up, using the settings, threading your machine, going through the troubleshoots, and even cleaning it, you are now ready to become a seamstress. Now, I will be putting up some beginner tutorials up soon. I do have one on my page right now, but that is a little tough if you are an absolute beginner. So I really recommend that you go explore YouTube, find some beginner sewing projects, and get right to it. Now, if you're getting ready to sew or you still can't set up your machine, do not get stressed out. I am offering one-on-one Zoom classes with me, so I'll put the link for that in the description. And basically, you can sign up for different packages, but one of them will be that we will Zoom, obviously, and then I will help you set up your machine, and we'll even do a beginning project together and, a project of your choice. So if you're interested in that, go take a look at that in the description. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. If you have any more questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I might have missed something, I don't know, but I would love to clear it up for you. But yeah, so that's how you set up your sewing machine. Have fun, you guys. Be patient. Do not get distraught. It's kind of difficult at first. It was definitely difficult for me, but it is so worth it in the end. So with that, go have fun, and I hope you create some really cool things soon.